I had enough on my hands, so I never intended or thought we should have a child of our own. But my wife said at least one. I said, okay, one, only one. So that happened, and from the age when she was an infant, 3.5 months of age, I drove across South India with her strapped to my front seat of the car, me driving alone, just my one hand here, one hand at the steering wheel. This was the time we were building Isha Foundation, so I travelled extensively, and she was travelling with me when she was 3.5 months old. So first 4 years she grew up in the car with me and in many people's homes. So she met thousands of people and she learned how to become a part of any home, anywhere, whether it's the most affluent home in the world or, a tribal home where just about anywhere I stayed, I made sure that she was exposed to everything. I didn't want her to develop prejudices or privileges of, choices of where to be and where not to be. And by the time she was 3 years of age, she at least knew 1,000 people by name, whom she considered her friends, definitely not her age, all grown-up people. So the tremendous exposure to people, and I thought I won't send her to school because I never liked to go to school when I was young. So I thought, why should I put her through something? Then the only thing I could not provide her is children of her own age. So I put her to a school which is not so competitive, not so pushy. So I looked for a school which was started by J. Krishnamurti, and I put her there so that it's easy. And I said, further you go easy on my girl, because I'm not going to look at a report card. I'm not going to ask which rank you are. I'm not going to ask what are you going to become. So don't have to bother about her marks, her academics. If she plays, if she eats well, I'm happy, she's growing up, she must eat well. If she plays well, if she laughs, if she sings, if she dances, I'm fine. I'm not concerned about this because when I was in school, every test, I was very consistent. I always got 6 zeros because I never wrote a word on any page. If they insisted, I wrote my name, otherwise I wouldn't write. And the final exam came, I only worked for 35 and I always got 35, 36, I just calculated. I've never sat in an examination hall beyond 30 minutes. First bell, I'm always out. And I just calculated for what it takes to move on with my friends to the next class, and that's all I did. Why I'm saying this is, this whole thing I used to watch as a child. When the report card came every month, some children are crying in the classroom because they've got not the marks that their tiger parents want, and some are strutting around because they are first or second or whatever. Whenever the teacher gave me the card, this report thing, I just took it and gave it to my father. I never ever opened and saw, because I thought this is a transaction between the teacher and my father. I don't want to intrude and see what is going on there. So I particularly requested the principal of the school, don't worry about my girl's education. I just want her to be with children of her age group. She eats well, just make sure she eats well. That's my only concern. She eats well, she's playing, she's laughing, she's jumping and dancing, I'm fine with it. So when she became 15 and cleared her 10th standard, I took her out of formal education, and because it was her mother's dream and the girl also was very interested, I put her into dancing and she went into Bharatanatyam, and now she's one of the upcoming artists in the country. So I never treated her as a child first. From the age of 2, from the time she started speaking, I always treated her as an equal, as an adult. I put whatever we're building a foundation, it's run by volunteers. Volunteers means we're doing variety of work. We're running businesses, we're running major projects and activity across the globe. None of them, except a few who teach, none of them are trained for their job, okay? Because I can't wait and pick somebody from IIT or IIM or something. Those who get rejected by all of you, probably they come to me. Whoever comes, I take them and put them into this job, that job, all kinds of jobs. So what can be done with one word? I have to speak 100 words to make them understand, for them to stay on the job, to remain committed, to keep it going. And because they're volunteers, you can't fire them. You can't fire them for inefficiency or this or that. So whatever problems in the organization, in the management, in individual people's problems, adult problems, all kinds, I always, once in a way, I gave her one of the problems and said, what is it? She used to come out with incredible, her own childlike solutions, sometimes perfect solutions, sometimes something wacky. Around 12, 13 years of age, she came home one day and she was disturbed about something that she saw, something that happened at school. And then she said, you're teaching everybody so many things, you're not teaching me anything. I said, see, I am not known to teach anything unsolicited. Here you have come, now sit down. Said, this is all you need to know, you never look up to anybody. Eyebrows rising, that what about you? I said, especially me, because the value of who I am is only if you see me the way I am. If you look up to me, you will nail me to the wall and maybe smoke me, light an incense or put a mala around me and forget about me. This is not going to change your life in any way. You must just see me the way I am. You must see me just for what I am, then I'm of immense value to you. But if you look up to me, you will miss it. So never look up to anybody, never look down on anybody. If you do this one thing, you will see everything just the way it is. Only if you see things the way they are, you can navigate effortlessly, isn't it so? This is so with life also. Only if you see everything just the way it is, you can navigate through life effortlessly. This is all the ability you need to give to your child. So I always treat it as an adult, never trying to place myself above her. This is the fundamental management I did, that she need not look up to anybody, nor look down to anybody. Just look at level, at everything the way it is. Just learning to see life just the way it is. Looking up is a lie, looking down is a lie. Looking up is coming from a certain prejudice, looking down is coming from a certain prejudice. Being able to treat every life, everything, whatever it is, this is our culture, I want you to understand. It doesn't matter if a paper, just a sheet of paper, when we were growing up, one paper, you cannot step on it. Yes or no? Many of you have grown up like this in your homes. Just a printed paper, it's nothing, maybe the news is rubbish, but you're not supposed to step on it because you educate yourself through that. If you want to step on the earth, you bow down to it. You don't look up to something or look down to something. What you do to your God, you do to everything. This not talking about in any cultural or religious way, simply I brought it forth in her life and I think it's worked out wonderfully well for her.
Almost many things teach us how to love, but nobody has ever taught us how to undo the love.
The idea of building relationships is that it's of support on all levels of life. In every way, two people can do better than one person, that is the idea.
So, moving on, my question is very relatable to the audience as well. Heartbreak is something that I think everybody…
Who broke your heart?
So, heartbreak is something that almost everybody goes through, and especially…
Really?
at some point of their time.
Oh.
And I remember, in fact, my teacher once telling me that it is at your time you love, you break, and you learn to love again and again and again. But
Who is
the
this
beauty…
teacher, huh?
Sorry?
Who is this teacher?
That's a top secret. The beauty of it is that you fall in love again and you break, but then it always ends up healing you again. I wonder, Sadhguru, everybody teaches us how to love. Movies, poems,
Really?
Bollywood.
If you do the things that you're doing in the movie, nobody will love you.
Literature. Almost many things teach us how to love, but nobody has ever taught us how to undo the love.
About breaking hearts. I don't have a broken heart because I gave away my heart very early on in my life, so nobody can break it, I gave it away. Just do that, then nobody can… You must understand this. What is a love affair? Is it okay? Mechanics of love affair, we can look at it. I'm not trying to de-romanticize it. What's this? Let's say you were 10 years of age. Looked around, the world was quite normal. Hello? Was it normal when you were 10, 12? It was normal. I'm not picking on you because you're in the first row, okay? It was looking quite normal. Suddenly, after some time, you got little poison, chemically poison. You looked, every little bump on somebody's body looks like a world by itself. Hello? Till then everything was okay, isn't it? You're 10, 12, it's okay. You became 13 and you look like this. Suddenly this is a world by itself. The neighborhood squawny girl who didn't mean a damn thing to you, suddenly she's the focus, she's the apple of your eye. Yes. So this is because your intelligence has been hijacked by your heart. So it is making funny things happen. It is making you believe all kinds of things. When you look back and say you'll feel stupid, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong about it. But it's very important that we understand what's happening. Otherwise we'll do idiotic things that we may regret later, It is not a question of morality. It is a question of handling our lives and… Serial heartbreak business can leave you paranoid about anything, about bonding with anybody in your life. Yes or no? You had serial heartbreaks, it looked like fun for some time. After some time, you just don't actually trust anybody in your… Because another human being is a problem, always. Only when our emotions allow you to cross that problem, in some way they get in. But if we have serial heartbreaks, we will never allow our emotion to cross those barriers. We will always be cautious because anyway this is come with a… expiry date. When people come with an expiry date, yes, there is an expiry date for all of us, but relationships, the idea of building relationships is that it's of support on all levels of life, so that two people, that means two brains and two bodies can do better than one in many ways, in various aspects of life, in profession, in domestic situation, in life, in companionship, in emotion, in arranging and organizing our lives, in every way. Two people can do better than one person, that is the idea. And of course, nature is pushing us together because nature doesn't care about your love affair, it just wants you to reproduce. Yes? You think Mother Nature is worried whether you love or you don't love, it wants you to reproduce. But we've overdone that a little bit. There's no hurry, we don't have to yield to that. Hello? Yes. If you were a tiger, I would encourage you, please reproduce, because it's an endangered species. Human beings definitely not endangered, we are endangering everything. So, reproduction is not the purpose right now, we have kept it aside. But nature's push is toward… But we have emotional needs, physical needs, psychological needs, maybe financial and social needs, variety of needs. To conduct these needs in a dignified way, to conduct these needs in a… See, once you come as a human being, you can't do things, though they are the same things what the animals do, but we would like to do it more gracefully, consciously. Whether we eat or we copulate or we sleep, we like to do it little more aesthetically right. The important thing. For that, we need the cooperation of another person who is also somehow congruent to us. Every 2 days, if you have heartbreaks and going on, well, you will see the trouble of that.
You have to use your energies wisely. You will develop so much of personal power within yourself. You walk like a king because the power within you makes you walk like that. How far a human being goes in this life, materially, spiritually, or in whatever that essentially depends on with how much energy he can crackle. Yes. There are a whole lot of people with lots of energy. There is no wisdom or the necessary systems within themselves transform this energy into a kind of a personal power. Power is not about somebody else. Power is about you. How much of a potential power you are determines the intensity and profoundness of your life and how effective you will become in your life, in whatever area we choose to operate. If this power has to come, you have to use your energies wisely. Energy can be aggregated into power with the necessary wisdom and necessary tools that we employ. Otherwise, energy can be dissipated simply with endless amount of thought, endless amount of reactions and anxieties. I want you to observe your day-to-day life, a simple thing. Just let's say, how many words do you utter in a day? You never counted? Oh, you should. You should. Just make an estimate tomorrow, from morning to night, how many words you utter. Day after tomorrow, cut it by 50% and say the same things. You're not cutting off communication with people. You're still communicating, but with 50% of the words. Your language skills will improve for sure. And you will see, you will develop so much of personal power within yourself. See, there is scientific evidence to show at least 20% of your energy right now, as you sit here in a restful state, is being consumed by your brain. If you bring this down, that your brain is not unnecessarily fluctuating and, hopping mad all the time. If it learns to still be still and do only what's needed, an enormous sense of personal power will develop. You can't do this with your mind right now. If you try to stop it, it'll hop even more crazy. At least do it with your body. Your words and your physical movements, reduce it by 50%. If you want to look at this, look at this. If you want to look at that, don't do this. With your body and your utterances, if you do this, slowly it will also start manifesting in your mind. It will not do unnecessary things. When you don't know unnecessary things, the energy that you have slowly transforms itself into potential power. So in developing this, the asanas that you practice, the Surya Namaskar that you do, if you're doing, or whatever other kriyas and other things that you do, is essentially to develop this power. This not be dissipated in unnecessary action. Right now you cannot curtail the number of thoughts you're having in your mind. That also can be, if you just bring in a reverberation within you, a simple mantra. If this is going away crazy, simply chant for some time, create a certain reverberation. You will see it will generate enormous amount of personal power. Without this power within you, you will not break through dimensions of life. Life, right now, for most people, divine is just a scriptural dictum. It is not a living experience in their life. If it has to become a living experience, if something as powerful as the Creator has to come into your experience, there must be some sense of power within you. This must be always understood. Power is not about domination. Power is about becoming effective. Power is about becoming empowered. Only when you carry the potency of this power within you, you walk through this life. It doesn't matter where you're placed in the society, it doesn't matter financially where you are, materially where you walk like a king. Because the power within you makes you walk like that.
This is very needed to create a healthy situation. Girls need to be protected, now boys also need to be protected. I visited some families, there were over 430 people. They would educate them about their biology without making it into sex education. Misuse is happening at various levels, deception is happening. They're getting wild information all online. How to conduct it in a dignified way is something that has to be told.
It's said about you, Sadhguru can talk about anything under the sun. You are now lately talking about sex education and that how…
I'm not talking, somebody
Yes.
made a movie.
That's right. So, that was about OMG 2. So, tell me about that. How relevant, how important and what is it?
See, this was a culture where families mean… I have, not my family, but I have visited some families where when I went, there were over 430 people in one family, in one large house in Gokarna, in Karnataka. I spent 3 days with them. It was an incredible experience to see how division of labor happens, how everything happens, and one man, what he says, everybody follows. In today's world of nuclear family, you can't imagine living like that. But they all lived like that. Children till they are 12, 15 years of age, they don't know who is their biological parents, they're just running all over the place. When they grew up like this, for boys there were many male members, for girls there were many women behind them. They would educate them about their biology without making it into sex education. Normally as process of life, because there are so many people in the family, girls need to be protected, now boys also need to be protected unfortunately. But at that time, girls need to be protected, so they would educate them what their body is, how they should behave, what they should do, they shouldn't let anybody do this, that, all these things. Naturally, grandmothers and others would speak. If the mother is little embarrassed to talk to her own daughter, there were aunts and grandmothers and grandaunts and all kinds of people who would easily talk to them. So this naturally was happening. Anyway, they were getting married by the time they were 14, 15 or 16 max. So everything they have to know, they would know. So life just happened that way. But today, we have come to a place where everybody has to educate themselves. That means minimum 23, 24. So their puberty might have happened 12, 13, but there are 10, 12 years of space where lot of them may not figure things out by themselves. So somebody has to tell them. Who is to tell them? It's a nuclear family. Only father and mother are there, nobody else, and they're busy with their stuff, and above all, they may not be able to communicate these things properly. They may become very embarrassed and the child may become very embarrassed. They may not be able to face each other if they talk such things. In the Indian culture, it is still like that. And above all, marriages were happening Because they were arranged marriages, parents would check out who they are, what they are, and then fix it. And with the trust, people, both boys and girls, went with that without even seeing the girl. I know many of my uncles and all just married without seeing the girl, because they trusted. They said, no, that girl is good-looking means, they said, okay, she's a good girl means good girl. That's all, because they always thought their judgment is better than my own. But that is not the age in which we are living. Today, by the time they're 12, 13, they are online, they have social media friends, all kinds of things. Misuse is happening at various levels. Deception is happening. Just now they brought a law, any deception if you use, there will be 10 years imprisonment. So this is for the times in which we are. Maybe in another 50 years we may not need such things, but right now our society needs it because this is just the first generation, gullible generation, stepping out into a world that they are not familiar with, stepping out into… from an organized structure to a wide-open structure. A lot of misuse is happening. So, considering this, educating somebody about their own biology, what is the nature of your biology, why are you feeling the way you're feeling, how to conduct it in a dignified way that is dignified for you and people around you, is something that has to be told. Otherwise they'll do wild kind of things. Above all, they'll hurt themselves, they'll feel guilty, they'll struggle, all these things. I feel any education is good education. Whatever is needed, you must educate, otherwise how will it happen? What form of education? That mode changes from time to time. Right now, that onus has fallen upon the schools because the family structure is no more that organized as it used to be. It has just come down to 2 or 3 or 4 people, so it's very difficult to do these kind of things there unless they've built that kind of relationship. Many parents are doing that, but that's not possible for everybody. So I think the onus definitely goes into the education system. But at the same time, these are kind of things that must be told to the child from somebody that they trust. Someone else who you don't care for, if they come and say all these things, I don't think it'll work. So creating those people in school that children trust them, that they can talk about these things and the children will be open enough to ask the right questions, I think this is very needed to create a healthy situation, especially to create safety for girl child in their adolescence and safety in terms of various other diseases and other things that spread. Otherwise, they're getting wild information all online, they're researching everything, and whoever guides them, that's how it goes. It is better at least a responsible person says this, even if you don't like him. At least a person, if he makes a mistake, you can hold him responsible. You can't hold anybody online responsible. But it's needed in the society because we are a society at crossroads. This is the first generation of women who are stepping out of their homes to go to work. They need to be educated. They may be adults, but still lot of them have no clue how the world works and they can be very easily misused. It's happening on a daily basis. And the younger girls probably are better educated than those little older ones because probably they have more access to information. I think it's very needed for women's safety, responsible behavior from the young males, all these things. Not that everything can be fixed, but it is definitely better if they're educated about this rather than playing hide and seek and learning in the back street.
What is the best possible way to raise a child in the times that we are living in, surrounded by technology? Do you think travel is one of the best ways to educate your child?
You can raise only cattle. The human being cannot be raised. This is a real crime against humanity, that you've already fixed what your child should become.
I'm a parent, I'm a mother. I want to know what is the best possible way to raise a child in the times that we are living in, surrounded by technology, me being a working mom, not spending as much time as my mother did with me. What do you suggest to working professionals out there?
So why do you think
Your mother did a good job on you.
I think so, yeah.
Yes. Why do you think your child doesn't deserve that? You must look at that. I'm not saying you should not work. You should work. But once you have a child, it's a 20-year project. That is if they do well. Otherwise, it's a lifelong project.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, we must understand it's not about the volume of time that you spend. If you spend too much time, they'll get sick of you. It is the way you relate to them. Being I'm a mother, when you say this and you want to raise your child, you can raise only cattle. A human being cannot be raised. If you raise a human being, he will be just like a cattle, he or she will be just like a flock. You should not raise, you must cultivate and watch what is going to blossom. But raising means you already fixed what they should become. Don't ever fix that. This is a crime against humanity, I'm saying. I'm using a very strong word. This is a real crime against humanity, that you've already fixed what your child should become, not only in terms of profession, this, that, in every way. No, the beauty of having a child is to cultivate and see what the hell are they going to become. Watch it. Maybe it's a thorny plant, maybe it's a rose plant. It looks like a thorny plant, maybe it'll blossom roses later, maybe it's a mango tree, maybe it's a coconut tree, you don't know.
Yeah.
You just have to nourish, support and watch. You don't raise. Raise means you've already fixed the end. You don't do that.
In terms of morals, ethics, or is it just about…
See, do you want your child or yourself to be guided by your morality or guided by your humanity? Which is better? What is lacking in this world is humanity. In the name of morality, people are becoming inhuman to each other, isn't it? What's the point of that? Humanity is a better guide than morality, any day. Morality is a backdoor entry to pretend like a human being. But I thought you are a human being, why should you pretend?
Yeah. Do you think travel is one of the best ways to educate your child?
See, simply random traveling may not be very educative, or it can educate you about things that you don't want your child to be educated about. Lot of exposure will happen, which you can't control when you're traveling. Not always it is good. So these things have been said by the English people and we're going on repeating the same thing because English people were trapped in a small island. If they didn't travel, they didn't see anything other than the grey mornings, mostly, all right? Even to sunlight, they had to come to India.
Yeah.
So, this travel is the best education. This was said by some English people because they're trapped in a small little island. When you're in an island, you must travel. But if you're elsewhere, you must travel to an island for fun.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I wouldn't make that like a prescription. It depends on the kind of person you are. Some people grow with travel, some people get crushed with travel. I think it should be looked at that way. It's not like a common prescription. But a lot of people would benefit by travel, at least they would loosen up from their day-to-day structures they have set up in their minds about with whom they can talk, whom they cannot talk, in new places, new people. It could loosen them up a little bit. Definitely.
So, the power of inclusiveness. Now, if we go back in the world, say 30 years, we see that there were many signs of opening. Walls were coming down. Many initiatives were taken to open up the world, which I think brought many benefits. If we look around the world now, there are many signs of closure. Walls are being constructed. There are many policy measures being taken by many governments, closing borders to persons, closing borders to goods. I wonder if I may ask how you see all this.
See, yes, it's true, you're seeing that as a global situation. But we need to understand this, bringing down walls without
bringing down economic disparity is not going to work. When we brought down walls, then itself we should have understood that we must strive to bring down disparity in the world. No man or woman wants to leave their home and go somewhere else to some strange land and live there just for survival. Nobody wants to do that. But it is estimated that in the next decade, there could be about 1.7 to 1.8 billion people moving or migrating. When that many people start migrating, your wall is not going to work anyway. Wall will work when they're in a few thousands, maybe a million, but when they go to a billion, your wall is not going to work, it's going to be a tragedy, because now you see a stream of people coming. Well, can every nation just open up its borders and say, welcome, live on the streets? Not possible, yes? So the thing to do is, which I've been striving to do and I've failed to do, is in the last 25 years I've been trying to bring some key people in the world together so that this initially we started as 1%.com, and I try to create a board, and every time we are about to do it, some warlike situation comes and some nations back away and it never happened, all right? The idea was just this: 1% of what we invest in our defense forces, as we call them, arms and armaments, what we invest, if we contribute and we institute a board of people who are from responsible businesses to be given as soft loans to these businesses to start enterprises in impoverished societies where it's not profitable to do business. A business will naturally try to do business where it's most profitable. You cannot ask them to go and do business somewhere in one corner of Asia or Africa because they are looking at their profitability. Essentially, this attitude is because money is expensive. The money is expensive. If you give them a softer money, which is not expensive, for a gestation period of 12 to 20 years and very soft kind of cushion for them to develop an enterprise, develop the talent and create industry and business in impoverished societies, the reason for these people to migrate will go. Instead of making that investment, you invest in putting up walls, you will see walls will work to a certain point. I'm not even saying it's wrong, because the sovereignty of a nation is essentially determined by the geographic borders. I'm not saying every nation can open up and let people inside, it's not possible to do that. But you will not be able to control it this way, nor is it very humane to do it that way. So the only way is, in some way we must see how economic disparity is lowered. We cannot level it absolutely, it's very, very far away, leveling it. But if we strive in the next 10 years, if there's enough investments going into various parts of the world from where people are migrating, if you start businesses there, if you start enterprises there, if you start economic activity there, then the need for them to go elsewhere to make a living could be reduced and migrations could be controlled, because nobody wants to leave their homeland if they can make a living there.